This podcast is sponsored by Active Skin Repair, a skin health company helping people heal with natural, non toxic, medical grade ingredients.
We are in the thick of summer right now, and you know what that means for me. I am spending every possible minute I can on the weekend paddleboarding. I absolutely love it. But last weekend was a doozy. I had an accident where I ran into some rocks on the side of the river. Thank God nothing was broken, but I did get pretty scraped up, which is not good when you're on a river for a few hours with nowhere else to go. Cuts like that can get hella infected really quickly. But luckily, it wasn't a problem for me because I was carrying my active skin repair in my first aid bag. I was able to spray my cuts up and finish our river run without any pain or worry over whether or not my cuts were getting infected. Not only that, but active skin repair can be used to treat sunburns and rashes and other types of skin damage, which makes it the perfect thing for me to take on these weekend water trips.
Active Skin Repair utilizes a molecule called hypochlorous acid. When applied to the skin, the molecule works by mimicking the natural immune response to cleanse, soothe irritation, reduce inflammation, and support healing.
I love them. They have sprays and hydrogel options, and it comes in regular active skin repair spray, kids and baby formulas, hydrating serums, and hydro sprays too. I love having the light mist spray when I'm out on the water because it dries quickly. But when I'm at home, we use the hydrogel because it's great to have on hand in the car. It works like an ointment, it's perfect. And of course, I love that all of the products are natural and non toxic.
So visit www.activeskinrepair.com to learn more about Active Skin Repair and to get 20% off your order. Use code NOGUILT. That's activeskinrepair.com, and to get 20% off your order, use code NOGUILT. And I think that's what we do when we don't have confidence in a skill. It really comes down to like the confidence you have in it versus the actual knowledge you have, because knowledge could be found on Google. But you need that confidence to know that you will figure it out. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We are shamefully excited today for this podcast episode because we're going to admit some things that we have no idea how to do, but we feel like we should know how to do. Right, Bree?
I like to call it like my dirty little secret. It's the things that I don't know how to do. I feel like I should know. And I try to kind of keep it hidden from other people that I don't know how to do these quote unquote basic things. And I'll explain more about like why I call them basic here in a little as the episode goes on. But like the things that you're like, crap. I don't want
Yeah.
anybody, especially my kids, to know that I've been BSing my whole life on that I know how to do this when I really don't.
Or relying on your
Others,
husband to do them for you, or your husband, others.
others.
I get so like bent up when I'm like, I am relying on a man to do this. I need to learn how to do this. This is shameful. It's not really shameful, but I like to know how to do the things and make choices on what I do.
Yes.
So if you feel the same way, you're going to love this episode. You might find a lot of similarities in the things that Brie and I don't know how to do. And we're going to challenge ourselves at the end, and we're going to challenge you as well. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, guys. I know that we all have those skills that we wish we had and we hide it from others. And I'll admit, sometimes I do a little bit of a Jedi mind trick to try to convince people that, like, I actually know how to do it when I really don't.
Really? Like,
Yes,
tell me, what's the reasoning behind this? Like,
because I'm
because
embarrassed and
yeah.
I don't want to admit that I don't really know how to do it. Like, sometimes it's because okay, so, like, a big one that I had that started this whole thing. So, like, if people that are in our balance community, we do Joe with Joe well, you do. Joanne does Joe with Joe in the mornings with our balance group, and it's like a time for her to connect with everybody, ask questions, like and just kinda share things that are on their mind. And you were gone last week, so I got to do Joe with Joe featuring Bree. And first of all, I am notorious for not being totally awake in the morning. My brain is not really functioning like on all cylinders until about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, which is after Joe with Joe. So I'm just rambling on these calls last week. And one of them, I don't even know how I came up with it, but I was just like, that one thing that like you don't know how to do. And my big secret, kinda ish, I talk about it, so it's not that big of a secret. I don't know how to change a tire. I
Oh.
I
Yeah.
don't yeah, I don't know how to change a tire, and I'm, like, super embarrassed about it. I've told my husband about it. My ex-husband knew I didn't know how to do it. He was my tire changer for the most part. Whenever I'd get a flat, I'd call him, and he'd come out and change my tire for me. And I feel bad because now my kids are learning how to drive, and I don't want them to ever get stuck somewhere and not be able to handle themselves. So, like, I told my husband, "When you teach the kids how to change a tire, I wanna be there because I wanna learn how to do it." Like, I kinda know. Like, I know you gotta unscrew things, I know where the jag is. I could probably figure it out.
Yeah, you could. You could probably figure it out. You don't
But
need
it
him.
yeah, but I've never have because I've always called my dad or my boyfriend at the time or
Oh.
my husband at the time or AAA. I've
Okay,
got
so
backups.
my story around that is
Uh-huh.
I got a flat on my car when I was probably 16 years old.
Oh, that's
And
scary for a 16-year-old.
oh yeah, I got everything in my car, but I'm really happy I did because my dad met me at the gas station and I'm like, "Okay, dad, change the tire." He's like, "I'm not changing the tire. You're going to learn how to change the tire right now." And it took us about an hour to change the tire, but like he was there with me even though I was super upset that I had to change the tire. I mean, I see it in my kids now where every time I try to teach them a skill they need to learn, they're like, ugh, ugh. And and I remind myself that I'm like, "Oh, this is me. This is totally me." But
Yep.
it took me about an hour changing out of this 1975 Plymouth Valiant, but I did it then, and what happened was that when my daughter was 3, I was driving out to California with my mom, my Aunt Julie, and my daughter in the car, and we had all gone to Disneyland together. We had taken her like, my daughter's a 3-year-old, like, this great, like, women trip, and then my mom and my aunt had walked the San Diego Half Marathon, and we were driving back from San Diego, and all of a sudden, like, when you run over something on the road and then you feel the tire just deflate? I felt that.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, "No." And, like, there was no real cell signal out there. There was nothing, and so I had to pull over to the side of the road, and we were able to get in touch with AAA, but my problem was I knew how to change a tire, but I had not kept the spare inflated in the back of the car. So
Wait. You have to keep them inflated? Like, I
yes.
thought they just oh.
Nope. You have to keep them
Ew.
inflated. So
There's
AAA
maintenance
came.
required on this
There's
spare
maintenance
tire?
required. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And it's also
Jesus.
smaller than your regular tire. So what
That I
happened
know. Yeah.
is that I did change the tire. AAA had to come and inflate it for me. But the cool thing is that with many cars, like, it teaches you, like, pictorials in the owner's manual that are, the one you
Okay.
keep in your dash, how to change a tire with that car, how to jack
Um,
it up and
uh,
everything.
FYI, not everybody keeps their owner manual in the car.
Okay, you gotta do that. You gotta keep the owner manual in the
It's like
car.
a Bible. Mine came with, like,
I
3,
know.
and they're so
That's
big.
all you keep in your dash. Just
Uh,
put the owner manual in, nothing else in
no,
there.
no,
Just
your
the owner's
dash is
manual.
full of, like, your paperwork if you get pulled over, extra
Yes.
tissues, a spare bag, an umbrella, air fresheners. That's
You
what you
keep
keep in
an
your
umbrella
dash.
here?
Yeah.
No.
It's a little one, but if it's in that's what I keep in my dash. What is okay, we're gonna have to do, like, an Instagram reel about, like, what's in your dash,
There's
people.
nothing. There's only
I have,
yeah,
I have,
we
like, a
should put
screwdriver in there.
In my dash, I have just my owner's manual. I have a center console, which is more of, like, my junk stuff, so I guess that goes in there, but
Whoa,
yeah.
whoa, whoa, that's not junk that's in my dash. It's needed things. I do
Okay.
have junk in my center console. Trust me, that's where the gum is and the cables to connect and charge the phones because we have 3. I do okay,
You
so
need to find room for that owner's manual in your dash because it will help you in a pinch.
okay. On Facebook, someone just said that they had, like, a tire like, "Yes, I have a tire gauge in my dash." That's in
That's
there.
fine. That's
Yeah,
fine. Have the tire
yeah.
gauge in your dash. But yeah, so it does tell you step by step how to do it. So I did use that as my refresher course when I had to change the tire, but
Were you the
it's
only
very
one who knew
simplistic.
how to do it out of that
Yes,
carload between your
I
aunt
was
and
the
your
only
mom?
one. Yes. And
Were
my
your
mom and my aunt were super impressed and they were like, "Wow. Wow, you're so impressive, Joanne." I'm like, "I read the owner's manual."
and dad made me do it when I was 16?
Yeah, all it really takes is confidence when it comes to that. I think that's true with all the skills. Like, if you
Yeah.
have directions, yeah, of course you can read the directions, and of course you could figure it out. Of course, and I think we think skills like this are so far out of our realm. I mean, I have my own. I have my own. So I am not really one to talk, but yeah. And I
I've
put
learned
it
a
on there.
lot in this, like, couple of minutes so far
Yeah.
about the depth of my not realizing what I did not know.
So here's the thing with the tire though, like you can't
Okay.
drive over like 50 miles per hour on that stupid spare tire. We
I
were
do know
like
that.
about like 80 miles away from the nearest Pep Boys or whatever where I could get a full size tire. So I had to drive 50 miles down the freeway with my hazards on to Pep Boys to get them to change my tire. And so it just lengthened that whole experience, but we were fine. It was all good. Got home a little later than we thought we would, but changing a tire helped in that situation a lot.
Okay. Wow. Alright, I wanna add a few things. So, like, we're live streaming this on Facebook, and we've got some of the people that are watching that are sharing some of the things that they don't know how to do, and then I have a list that I also made from when I did it live on the Joe with Joe.
Okay, and we're gonna get into that list right after this.
Support for today's episode comes from Honeylove. Honeylove has really revolutionized the bra game. Say goodbye to that uncomfortable underwire without sacrificing the lift that we so desperately need. For a limited time, you can get Honeylove on sale. Get 20% off your entire order with our exclusive link, honeylove.com/NGM. Support our show and check them out at honeylove.com/NGM. Now, let me tell you guys, I have found that as I've been getting older, that comfort and cuteness are not as easy to find when it comes to a bra. And I can honestly say that I have found that with my new crossover bra from Honeylove. It is so comfy and it gives me the lift that I desperately need as 44 years old with lovely triple D ladies. I honestly have had the hardest time trying to find a bra that doesn't feel like I'm wearing my grandma's bra. And this is it. Honey Love's best-selling crossover bra is extremely comfortable. It is going to be your new go-to bra. It's definitely mine. It gives me all the support of a traditional bra with an underwire without that uncomfortable underwire. Plus, the mesh gives it some little sexy touches. Like I actually feel very cute when I'm wearing it. But it doesn't stop there. Honey Love also has really great shapewear, tanks, and leggings for everyday support. I recently found the perks of wearing shapewear. I know it took me a while to get there, but I've tried it and it was amazing. Over the past week, I had to go to a wedding and I tried the Superpowers short under a sundress. And oh my goodness. For once, I wasn't pulling at my skirt and I felt totally slimmed down with my tummy and my thighs. I have not felt this confident in a sundress in a very long time. What can I say? Honeylove has you covered for those everyday looks, workouts, weddings, everything. And it's definitely something that you need in your life and you have earned it. Honeylove is not just about supporting women, it's about empowering women. So treat yourself to the best bras on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/NGM. Use our exclusive link in the show notes to get 20% off. That's at honeylove.com/NGM, and you're going to find your perfect fit. After you purchase, they ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them you got sent by No Guilt Mom. Honeys, you deserve this. Be free of the pain and discomfort and keep the support with Honeylove. Today's podcast is sponsored by MIDI Health. Hey guys, Bree here. I have two sisters. We're all within 5 years of each other, with me being the youngest at 44. Typically, when we get together, we sit there and chat about stuff like our hot flashes, or our raging mood swings, or our inability to sleep, which is making us pretty cranky. Yep, you have guessed it. We are all going through perimenopause and menopause together. And while I love doing things as a family, this is not one of them. I have to say though, lately I haven't had as much to vent about because I'm currently getting treated for my perimenopause symptoms. And I've got to say, it's been going fabulous. If you're experiencing things like night sweats or having trouble sleeping, sudden weight loss or libido changes, moodiness, anxiety, depression, or brain fog, all of these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around perimenopause and menopause that can start as early as 40. Stop pushing through it alone. There is help and it's easier to get than you might think. MIDI Health offers virtual, no rush visits with your clinician. Plus, you get email, messaging, and phone support for anything you have going on. The best thing is MIDI accepts most insurance coverage and has affordable cash payment options too. So schedule yourself a virtual visit to discuss your symptoms and health background in depth. You'll come out of the experience feeling heard and with a plan to start feeling better. With specialized insurance covered care, MIDI puts relief within reach for so many women more than ever before. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
I'd like to introduce you to the Minimalist Moms podcast. It's hard enough being a mom, and the last thing you need is stress from too much stuff and an overcrowded schedule. For too long, I lived with the mindset that bigger was better, and the more I added to my life, instead of feeling better, I felt overwhelmed. It was time for a radical new mindset. Less is more. I'm not into extremes. I didn't throw everything away. My brand of minimalism is more about adding than subtracting. Get rid of the excess to make room for what you love. In other words, it's about living life with purpose. I hope you'll listen in and my guest and myself can inspire you to think more and do with less. The Minimalist Moms podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, so when this originally came up, I have asked people both on Facebook and in our balance group to share what are some things that are your dirty little secrets that you're like, I don't know how to do this. And I kind of feel like I should. Like that, I think that's an important distinction here too. When I ask, I'm asking people, what do you think you should know how to do that you don't know how to do? Not necessarily what's something that you want to learn how to do. And I think that's an important distinction, but we'll get into that later in the episode. So here's
I
some
think
of
it
the
is
answers.
an
Yeah,
important distinction. Yeah. It's like you don't wanna put any effort into learning this thing, but you think you should.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because I do have ones that fall under that FYI. So let me share what some people said. And I'm wondering in podcast land, just nod along if you've got some of these too. Not knowing how to work the grill or the barbecue, not knowing how to figure out the TV remotes or the
Okay.
15 gazillion remotes you got. Yeah.
Yeah, because usually, like, if you have somebody in your house who is very into audio, there's, like, 15 gazillion remotes, and you're like,
Mhm.
"Why do we have 15 gazillion remotes?"
I shared that. So, like, when I moved into post-divorce, first house on my own, moved into it, I had a friend come over and help me set up the TV, mainly because I just wanted somebody to tell me I was doing it right. But I had it all set up, and then I get remarried, my husband moves in, and Miguel does all this funky stuff. Now I've got 4 freaking remotes. I don't know why. Why does one remote turn off all the sound? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Why? Why did you do that to me? So so we have, like, 4 remotes now, so now I'm part of that realm of, like, I don't entirely understand why it doesn't work. But some other ones that came up was changing a shower head.
Those need changing?
I well, I'm
Well,
gonna
like, when
guess,
you
like,
change it, like, to a massage I don't know.
well, I'm gonna guess they meant, like, changing it out and, like, getting a new one. And, like, maybe if you live somewhere with hard water, you'd need to do that pretty consistently, but also, like,
True.
for me, like, So that kind of is me, like, I'm pretty sure I could do it if I had to, but honestly, if I wanted to change our shower head, I would just be like, "Hey, Miguel, can we get a new shower head? We'll go buy it, and can you put it in?"
I'm the same. I'm the same.
This was,
This
like,
was mine.
electrical installing
Anything
things.
electrical, I'm so afraid of it. I will be
Okay,
like, what wire do I connect to what wire now?
see,
What
but
like
I would venture that that's an electrician thing, like, you could
it's a
burn down your house.
I don't so I don't think you can. Like, I think I will like, I don't know, because I know how to shut off the power to the house. I
Yeah,
know how to do that.
uh-huh.
I know how to go and, like, if I flip the breaker, I know how to reset. I can do that. And I know that when you're working with electricity, all you do is you shut off power to wherever you are working before you do it. But then I see all those colors and I'm thinking, like, it's panic almost. I should know what colors mean what, and I don't. I don't know what colors mean what, and so I'm going to fail. And it's
Well, I do think, like, you shouldn't necessarily know, and again okay, so there is a really funny meme, and I'll have to find it and, like, send it to you. Not a meme. It was like a video, and it was either on TikTok or Instagram or maybe both, where this guy is, like, working on, electrical, and he goes, "So, tell me who helped set up your electrical?" And he's looking, like, very confused, and you hear this, like, old woman's voice go like, "Well, that was my grandson, Jimmy. He's really handy." And then the guy goes, "Oh, okay, and when did Jimmy's house burn down?" And she goes, "Oh, well, that was back in, 5 years ago." "Wait a minute, how did you know?"
Yeah.
And the guy goes, "Oh, just a guess."
Yeah.
Like, just a guess.
That's my personal fear.
Mhm.
And I don't think that that's an unjustified fear, but so going back to the list, somebody had said that they felt like they didn't know how to load a dishwasher, mainly
I'm
because
told
they
that.
were told they didn't,
I'm told that by my husband. I
and I
don't even
call
touch it.
that a load of BS, but that's okay, like, and
But
there
you
are
know what?
what?
I will gladly take on that little load of weaponized incompetence on my part because I feel like I don't get to play that card very often. And so if they wanna tell me that I don't load a dishwasher right, take that. Take that. You
I'll be
can
like,
load the
"Yeah,
damn dishwasher all day long. I don't care.
not my skill set,
Yes.
cannot go." Somebody else said that they didn't know how to hang something on a wall, and I was like, "Tell me more about that." And she was like, "Well, the level, like, using the leveler and stuff," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, I could care less if my stuff is, like, not quite centered. I really don't." And you know what else I have found? Tacks and those 3M hooks with the tacky tape work
Oh, I love
wonderfully.
them.
I
Yes.
do not need to know what nail needs to be used for what item. If it's heavy, I use a bigger nail.
Or
I know that
Velcro.
much.
The
What now?
Velcro things, the
Oh,
Velcro.
the Velcro ones,
I
yes.
have the pictures on my wall back there are Velcroed on. I didn't hang them. They're Velcroed.
Like, again, like, this house is a testament to the shit Brie was able to figure out on her own and do in her own haphazard ways. I used a lot of tacks because 'cause I'm like, "Tacks work? That's good enough." Because I had a lot of light stuff I was hanging. But anyway, I digress, like, what up? Let's see, self-defense, Liz was like, "I wanna learn how to do a knockout punch." Now, I feel like that's going into a realm of not quite a dirty little secret, like, you probably aren't feeling ashamed that you don't know how to do a knockout punch, but that would be pretty damn cool.
But a knockout punch actually would damage your hand if you did it barefisted.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
that's something that they don't tell you in movies. Like, when you see those fight scenes in movies with, like, people getting punched in the head, that's very like, that one punch will land you in the hospital kind of thing. Like, it's kind of ridiculous what they what they say for self-defense. Like, you can injure somebody pretty well. I took women's self-defense. I took a lot of women's self-defense. In fact, when I was in the entertainment industry, there was this company we were working with and thinking of doing a show with them, teaching women how to defend themselves, and they would have a guy dress up in one of those suits and
Like the Michelin Man suit.
yeah, come at you and swear at you so you can, like, practice all of your things under adrenaline so that you could experience that spike, and I have to tell you, like, I was so sore after those classes, even though, like and
The
you would
muscles
get,
you
like
would use?
yeah, you would get manhandled and kind of hurt too doing those self-defense moves, but just go to Miss Congeniality, that movie with Sandra Bullock, she tells you everything you need to know. Like, go for the eyes, go for the crotch, go for the instep, and you got the most painful parts on a person too.
Oh,
Go.
man, I always tell my daughter, like, just bite them as hard as you can."
Yeah, well, and if they grab your hair, You have to like grab their hands on top of your head so that they don't have any control over pulling that hair for you. So you
Oh.
grab your hands and then you use your feet to like get them.
Okay, see, guys, just listening to this episode of No Guilt Mom, you are learning self-defense.
There
So
you go.
I'm going to say one more thing that somebody told us from the audience, and then parallel parking. Somebody from our audience is like, I don't know how to
Oh.
parallel park. And girl, I honestly think that that's kind of like learning cursive. That is something that I think is less and less needed because honestly, cars are like coming out with the ability to do it. But I get it. Like, I don't think I've taught my kids really how to parallel park. Like, we gave them like the basics of it. I feel like it's just kind of those things that practice.
I'm gonna ask you a question, Brie.
Yeah.
How worried are you about finding parking when you go to downtown Phoenix?
None at all because I don't drive. I make my husband do it.
So, like, in urban areas, parallel parking's a necessary skill. When I worked in the mailroom at the talent agency, one of the things I had to do was go out and deliver packages. And it would be in LA. So I would be delivering to Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, like all these places where the only place to park is parallel parking. And like you go to neighborhoods in California and everyone's on the street, and it's so hard to even find a spot in your own neighborhood because it's all
Yeah.
apartments. And so there's
Yep.
so many cars. But it's one of those things like you get better practicing it as long as you know, like you're going, you have to line yourself up and then you do 45-degree angle and back it in and then, yeah.
Okay, I agree. I do know how to parallel park. And I do agree that like it depends on where you're at. Like I think that for my kids in their life right now, they don't necessarily have to know how to parallel park too much.
Yeah, true.
Even though I live in a neighborhood and you know this, like we live in a townhouse, there is street parking. So my son can kind of parallel park and he does a good enough job. I haven't taught my daughter how to do it yet. She's turning 16 in July. So I should probably work on that. But I do think it's like a dying art. It's not something that you necessarily have to know how to do, I think. That's just my opinion.
I would say
So
in this area, we don't need it. I bet like if
yes.
you guys have comments on this, if you live in an urban area
Yeah,
where
I wanna
parallel park,
hear.
let us know.
I
Let
wanna
us
know your
know.
thoughts on
Let us
that.
know.
Okay, so after this break, we are going to share with you what our deep, dark hidden secrets are. I shared about mine with changing a tire, but we have more. We have more coming.
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to hear that. We'll hear it right after this.
No one told us the truth about parenthood. Why? This is the podcast everyone needed before they had kids because now that those little ones are here, there is a lot to unpack. I'm Rachel Shepardota, and I am your host for the podcast No One Told Us, where we tell the truth about parenting and let you in on all the stuff you really should have known about before having kids. I am the founder of Hey Sleepy Baby, but this podcast is so much more than sleep. We'll be diving into all the topics that you really care about and need to know while you do your best job raising those adorable tiny humans. Our goal is to just make you feel less alone and less overwhelmed. There are so many things that no one tells us before becoming a parent, and I think that we should really pull back the curtain on becoming a first-time or second-time mom or dad to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll have a little education, a little fun, and a whole lot of heart that goes into each and every episode. So join me and our amazing guests each week to hear us talk about what no one told us.
Oh, hey, everybody. It's us, Blair and Molly, your old pals from Toddler Purgatory. Two moms who are also actors, who are also creative beings, who sometimes feel stuck.
And this is our new podcast, Unsticking It with Blair and Molly. What happens when your creative spark just seems to disappear? Gone.
Poof. Bye.
See ya. What happens when life gets in the way of your creativity instead of nourishing it? That's what happened to Molly and me. We felt like the thing that drove us creatively stopped working and impending doom had in fact impended.
Totally. So we decided to do something about it. And that was steal ideas about getting unstuck from the most creative people we can find. We talked to guests about how to break through the mucky, gluey, sticky wall that can get between you and your creativity. We hear about their journeys, their successes, their challenges, and even their bougie coffee shop orders.
And we're not just talking Bob Ross type paint on paper artists here, though we talk to them too. We're talking to actors, creative directors, dancers, and people who are working hard to be their best creative selves in a world that can sometimes feel real uncreative.
We all have something to teach each other, so let's steal their ideas together.
Join us, won't you, as we deep dive into how to unstick ourselves from the life gunk that can get in the way of our creative freedom. Pandemics, school calendars,
World events, lack of sleep. Oh, get out of their life gunk.
and let's get back to your best creative self. Subscribe to Unsticking It with Blair and Molly.
You're not going to want to miss an episode.
Unsticking It with Blair and Molly, because sometimes life sucks.
Hey there, I'm Debbie Reber, the founder of Tilt Parenting and the author of the book Differently Wired. The mission of Tilt is to change the way neurodivergence, whether that's having a learning disability, having ADHD, being gifted, autistic, or some combination of all of the above, is perceived and experienced so differently wired kids and the parents like us raising them can truly thrive. On the Tilt Parenting podcast, I get to talk with authors, therapists, educators, and parenting experts who are committed to this mission. I ask the questions my listeners are most curious about when it comes to supporting our kids. And in turn, my guests share strategies for challenges, out-of-the-box ideas for navigating school, best practices for therapies, tips for advocating, and so many thoughtful insights on what it really takes to help our kids grow up feeling seen and respected so they can create awesome lives for themselves. I know that raising a differently wired kid can feel overwhelming and isolating, but I promise you, you are not alone, and it can feel so much better. If you're on this parenting journey, come listen to Tilt Parenting. Together, we can shift this paradigm and show up for our exceptional kids with hope, possibility, and joy.
So we're going into this deep, dark secrets of skills we wish we had and are ashamed we don't. And I'm going to need to think about mine, Brie, because I feel like I gave mine away already with the fan, with the electricity.
Oh, okay. In all
But-
fairness, I did have more time to think about this.
Okay, so I want to hear yours.
All
What are
right.
yours?
I don't know how to use the different settings on my washing machine.
Oh, I don't know that
Like-
either. I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. All right. So that was the parallel parking earlier. But that leads me to another one, but I'll come back to that. Okay. So the washing machine, now, don't get me wrong. I know the difference between a normal cycle and a hand wash or a delicate. I know that. And I know cold versus hot versus like all of that, which, by the way, if you live in Phoenix during the summer, there is only one setting. It's warm. It's
Yeah.
warm. Like
There's no others.
you don't even bother to use the hot setting because the water is already warm and there is no cold setting during the summer. We just don't even have cold water. So just I'm sharing a little tidbit about Phoenix there. So
At least during the day. If you get it during the morning, you have a chance maybe of getting some.
not in my house. It is
Oh,
still
really?
warm. There's nothing but warm. So my kids do their own laundry and they come to me a lot to like help explain to them how to work things. And my family, for the love of God, they cannot figure out how to work the dryer. I have told them a million times. And the dryer has even less settings. Like we do not have one of those fancy front loading electric ones. Ours is old dials. It works fine. But I don't know the difference between the regular casual permanent press and like what a normal is. 'Cause that talks about like low and high agitation.
I don't know.
I tell my
either.
kids like, go to normal. Well, what about that one? I don't know. You
I
can
don't
use
know.
that one too if you want. What's the difference? I have no idea.
I'll do
I'm
like
just like, no, no.
towels. They have a towel load. I'll be like, oh, this is a towel load. Perfect.
Oh, see, mine doesn't do that. Mine
No.
mine does not tell me that. But then, like, you go to the dryer and there's a timed dry option and then there's the dry cycle. And for whatever freaking reason, my family keeps using the timed dry and then their
Oh.
stuff never comes out dry. And I'm like, well, you guys stop. Why do you keep going to that side? And they're like, I don't know. Ugh. So I don't understand how to use the different cycles on my washer. And here's my other one. I don't really know when or why my car with the automatic transmission has a first gear or second gear. I don't know when I would use it. Not
No, I don't know
here
when I would
in
use that
Phoenix.
either.
Like I drove a stick shift for many years. That was my first new car, was a stick shift Honda Civic. Drove that sucker into the stinking ground. Like had to get the transmission replaced twice. So not saying I'm good at driving a stick, but I know how to drive a stick and I do understand the
I know
lower
the
gears.
basics behind
Yeah.
a stick.
But I don't
Nestor
like
did it.
I don't know why. Like, all I can tell you is, like, my daughter asked me the other day in our Prius, she was like, we were doing a driving lesson, and she's like, so when would I use 1 and 2? And I'm like, oh, we don't use that out here. Why? Oh, well, because you need that for like bad weather and dirt, and we don't have that. So just don't worry about it. I have no idea if I was right or wrong, but she don't
Oh
know
my
that.
gosh. Now we're gonna have to do this because I really don't know them either. Every time I don't know something, I have to Google it. So I'm like, lower drive gears on automatic. Let's see what Google pops up for it. How and when to use the low gear in an automatic car. It forces your transmission to basically stay on the lower settings. This is accomplished by restricting the amount of fuel flowing from the intake into your engine. Thus, it turn reduces your car's overall speed. Okay, here's the
I
real
know it
thing we
makes
want
it
to
go
know.
slower. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Because when the gear is restricted, your car is capable of exerting more torque. Basically, when you shift into low gear, your car gets slower, but it also gets much stronger, capable of exerting more pounds of forward force, which can be especially helpful in specific vehicle scenarios or even emergency situations. So, for example, if you're towing a heavy load like a trailer or a camper, it'd be really beneficial to shift into that lower gear.
Okay, I do know that.
So you
I know
know
that
it.
so you're telling me that it's on there so that my tiny little Prius can tow a trailer?
Yep.
And that's the only reason I have it? Like I
To tow
call
a load, or it says by shifting into low gear and increasing the car's torque, you make it easier to lug hefty cargo without worrying about the wheels slipping or falling down a hill. And then they said there's a second scenario. If you're attempting to climb or descend a steep hill, shifting into low will put more power and weight behind your car. So
okay.
I could see your Prius in that situation if you're driving down a
Well,
steep
I
hill.
was gonna say, like, I do remember living back in the Midwest where we had ice. You'd have to put your car into a lower gear when you were driving on ice. But again, we don't have that here in Phoenix. So, like, I'm like, I feel like but I guess they're not. I guess they're not going to make cars just for the Phoenix,
Phoenix area.
roadways. But
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, the ice is it. So there we go. We got our answer. Now you know when you're teaching your daughter to drive, you're like, that low gear, it's for pulling heavy loads or for going down steep hills. We're ice.
She does want to move to the Pacific Northwest, so maybe I should share a little bit more about ice with her and driving in ice. Do
I
you
have no
have
idea
any
how to drive
others?
in
Did
ice.
this inspire anything that you don't know how to do?
I don't know how to drive in ice. I've never done it
Okay. Yeah, but
ever.
that's not a dirty little secret. I don't think you care about that one. Um,
No, I don't. I don't think I most of the things like I don't have dirty secrets when it comes to not doing stuff. I will openly admit it that I don't know how to do it. And sometimes that gets me out of doing work and situations.
like loading the dishwasher,
Like loading the
right?
dishwasher. I know the basics behind it, but I also think that they're being a little too particular about loading the dishwasher. I really do.
I
I don't think it
agree.
needs that precision.
I agree. Okay, and here's the deal. So, like, I wanted to talk about this in the episode, like confirmation bias.
Mhm.
So, my kids suck at loading the dishwasher. They are terrible at it. But I never tell them that they're bad at it. I told them the basics of our dishwasher, like the way our dishwasher is set up, because again, dishwashers are different, but ours, glasses go on top, plates go on bottom, bowls can go in either spot, depending upon where there's space. And then we also wash our like big utensils, like tongs or like spatulas in the dishwasher, and we lay them on the top rack, like vertically.
Mhm.
So they know that, and they know basics about like, and I won't say a word to them if they load it terribly, but I will go in and change it behind them later.
Oh.
I don't
Yeah.
know if they've paid enough attention. They've never said a word to me about it, but I don't wanna give them confirmation bias, that
Yeah.
tendency to say, "Look, I really don't know how to do it," because I want them to have confidence. I want them to be like you, where you're like, "I don't know how to do it, I'll just look it up on Google," rather than, "Oh, shoot, I don't know how to do it. I'm just gonna pretend like I do and never really learn how to do it because I just don't wanna put forth the effort."
It's funny because I think it's a skill that served me well in teaching because in a lot of teaching, you don't know how to do things. You have to look it up before the class comes in. Like sometimes 5 minutes before you're looking it up and you're like, okay, I can teach it now. And the best thing is like when you teach something, you learn it even better because you're very aware of what you don't know how to do and the holes that you need to fill when you try to teach it to somebody else.
Wow, that's crazy. Like, I don't know if I would have that I can do it fortitude, but
Really?
I would
You
try.
just
I would
fake it till
try.
you make it. That's all
I
you
know
do.
you are between the two of us, I think that is definitely a superpower of yours that you
Fake it
have
till
of
you
the
make
whole
it.
fake it till you make it. I can do that in certain situations, but I feel like and I think you would agree that, like, sometimes I'm really good at faking it, but I cannot, and a lot of times that fear just
Mhm.
it comes
Yeah, no, I
across my
know.
face, and it's like, "Never mind. I can't."
Yeah,
Um,
I get how that works. I get that in a lot of situations too. Like, I mean, there are certain situations where I wish I was better at it. Most of it is about like pitching myself. I
yeah.
wish I had the confidence in pitching myself to other places, to like news outlets, to media, to other podcasts. And I do a good job if I like know the person well, but I get like so in my own head. And I think that's what we do when we don't have confidence in a skill. It really comes down to like the confidence you have in it versus the actual knowledge you have, because knowledge could be found on Google, but you need that confidence to know that you will figure it out. And if you get a no, it's okay. And that's something that I'm working on all the time.
Oh my god. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, well, I'm curious if people could share comments from this episode. Share with us what is a dirty little secret of yours that you don't know how to do? That you're like,
Yes. We want to
I
hear. We
I
want
don't
to hear
know.
it. I want to give a shout out to Liz and Tanya and Brittany, who joined us today live in the No Guilt Mom podcast group on Facebook, which we have a link for in the show notes. So come and hang out with us there. And also make sure you're getting that No Guilt Mom Weekly. Are you getting that No Guilt Mom Weekly?
We have a link for
Because
that as well.
we have a link for that as well, totally free. And you know what? Just by sharing it with friends, we get to shout you out on the podcast because you're part of the No Guilt Mom community. So we are so excited to hear like what little skills do you have? You might find yourself mentioned in a future episode or just connect with other women. And in the meantime, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
I'd like to introduce you to the Minimalist Moms podcast. It's hard enough being a mom, and the last thing you need is stress from too much stuff and an overcrowded schedule. For too long, I lived with the mindset that bigger was better, and the more I added to my life, instead of feeling better, I felt overwhelmed. It was time for a radical new mindset. Less is more. I'm not into extremes. I didn't throw everything away. My brand of minimalism is more about adding than subtracting. Get rid of the excess to make room for what you love. In other words, it's about living life with purpose. I hope you'll listen in and my guest and myself can inspire you to think more and do with less. The Minimalist Moms podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts.